All right, before we jump in here, we're going to talk about mulligans with this Marco deck list. We're going to go through actually a couple of deck lists and kind of just talk about the mulligans, cards that I would look for, and how I set it up. I'm Vampyr Gaming, of course. I make competitive One Piece content. I also do some content around the market, and then also just overall general product knowledge. If that interests you, if you could do me a favor, just hit that subscribe button. It helps me out a ton, and let's go ahead and dive in. What's going on, everyone? Vampyr Gaming here, and today we're going to be talking about Marco Mulligans. So in this, we're actually going to take a look at the three Marco decks in which that have topped and talk through just what mulligan looks like. This first one here was my first original top 32 deck list. Of course, you don't have to necessarily play these cards, but this is just an educational video to give you an idea of what to look for in the mulligan. So to kind of just open, we're going to talk about just mulligan overall. An ideal hand has, for me, at least 2 to 3 of your turn plays. You want, so say you're going first. You want something you play on ideally turn 3 and turn 5 in those instances, because then turn 7, 9 will figure each other out. As you kind of go a little bit deeper, you take life, this and that. But you want to be able to start up your game and then hopefully be able to progress it. A good hand is, of course, going to have like all three. So you'll have like a 3 curve, a 5 curve, and a 7 curve. So it's going to take you all the way to like mid to late game. And then you'll figure it out from there. But so, yeah, you really want to have plays for a couple turns. And, of course, a card for counter in case you need it. And so, yeah, you want to be able to, you need a hand that can play. And you want more than just, you want a couple of turns of play within that hand, and also ideally some counter. In some instances, you can live with a hand without counter, but you got to be very careful. So, yeah, this first one here, of course, we got the Ivankov package. Going first and going second, I think are both fairly similar because we don't play, this list right here doesn't play a single 6 curve. So I will say, I think Jozu's a good fit here. I'd probably replace Ulti with Jozu for the sake of that. But we'll go ahead. So this is Egman events, and we've got a hand simulator, and I'll kind of just show and then tell you, of course, if I would keep this one. I think this one is decent. If I was playing versus Doflamingo, I think I would consider keeping this because it could get a lot worse. And then we have the Fire Fist and we can find an event. The big thing with Marco, too, is it's okay to have an okay hand because you can dig a little bit deeper and just really go in there. If I was going second with this hand, maybe not because I only have Duval. Then 4 is possibly me playing Jozu, and 6 is also empty. But if I'm going like 3, 5, 7, 3's full and 7 is full, my 5 is just empty, and I might be able to get there in turn 1. I'm probably going to go, whoop, draw 1. Then I'll play Duval, tailor myself to maybe find a 5. And then, yeah. So Duval would probably bottom deck, and it would probably get around here, which is still pretty good because you can just stabilize in the late game, so even if your mid game isn't. But yeah, this hand, not the best. This one, we've got a 7, we've got a 5, and we've got a 9 play. Depending on what you're playing against, I think this hand could be worth keeping. I don't love it. You could be greedy. This is on the lower end because we want to see, like, especially this list right here. You definitely want to see, like, Ivankov or Doflamingo. And then you also, of course, depending on your matchups, you're going to want to see certain cards. Like anything that's not Lucci, I definitely want to see Ivankov because Ivankov's going to stick and be a problem. Lucci can relatively answer this easy. But this one also focuses on using Sanji. So we want to find Doflamingo or even Ulti, Duval, something to stack to get us on our 9 curve to play Sanji. This one, if I'm playing against Bonnie, I would consider it. or even purple Luffy because they're going to take their life. But I think this is pretty bad. All of these are actually really poor hands. Wow. I would mulligan this. Again, we need that early game, and we're just not seeing it. Here we go. Here we go. Here's a decent hand. So, just for this deck specifically, this is fun. We got Doflamingo, which is a key card. We don't really have anything else. I would still mulligan this. I would mulligan this. We don't really have any, again, no early game plays. You have 2 is empty. And again, 2 is okay because we're going to draw 1, bot deck 1. This hand is a great hand. This hand is a phenomenal hand. Why? Because I'm going to, on 4, so I would draw, it's a Sanji. I would probably go first. If I'm going second, leader, draw 1, it's going to be an ace. Stack the Sanji on top. And then, or actually, probably just stack the ace on top. No, you got to stack something. But I'd stack the Newgate. Then I'd play next turn of Volkov, right? Yeah. You just want to stack in the counter. Interesting. I would mulligan this because, again, we don't have any early plays. This hand, I would keep this hand because now we got a 3, a 5, and a 9, so we're just missing a 7 curve play, which is 7 curve play if any body stakes can just be putting on some pressure plus leader or like cleaning up board, something like that. And then so we're going to spit out Volkov. This is an ideal hand right here for this list. Now, you mulligan that. I'm starting to think Batsu made this. We'll continue to go through. Okay, I would actually still keep this. I would keep this. Even if I'm on 3 blind to Volkoving, the next turn I'm doing a Volkov and stacking one. Because these are Volkovs. If they stick, I'm drawing cards. And I could potentially then counter more, draw 3 cards each turn. We love that. Okay, we'll go ahead and take a look at the other list. So this list here is... This guy got top 32 in the same event as Egman, playing Sanji's Pilaf, 2 Raging Tiger. I think this is correct. 1 Newgate, which is always fun. 3 of this Newgate, 1 Dragon. I do like the 1 of Newgate. 2 Bad Manners, of course, helps with the bricks. Looks like they're playing 12 2Ks as well, which I think is just correct. The Doflamingo, which is a great setup. 3 Marco. These Marcos, it looks like, instead of like their engines, playing these Marcos, which I think is okay. Of course, upping the events, you can save this Marco with any of those. So I get it. And then this Marco blocker, really good against anything that's not black. All right, let's take a look and see as far as the mulligan goes. Again, like we have our late game, which is phenomenal, but the buildup is really not there. Okay. So if we're going second, I think this is a keep because we've got 2-wheel draw. So we go second, draw 1. We're going to use leader. Probably stack this Newgate. Maybe bottom deck this dragon. I would either stack this Newgate on top or bottom deck this dragon just to go a little bit deeper. And then you go 4. We're going to play this Doflamingo. Look at the top 5, which would be something like that. I'd probably bottom deck all of those. That's just me, though. Because there's nothing I really want to play off of, like, a Sanji, and I don't have a Sanji. I don't have any big drops, and I'm already on... This would be on 3. I could maybe put in the Marco, but then every other card after that, it's just not advancing me somewhere. But I think this hand is a playable hand. All right, new hand... You've got a 9, 9, 9, 7, 4. So if we're going first, we've got a 5, 7, 9. So we're just missing a 3. So then we attach 1 Don. We draw 1. Nothing there. So our first turn could be swinging 8, which isn't bad. Then on 5, we play Marco. Then on 7, we play Newgate. Then we could even blind a Sanji. And then the next Sanji, we can stack and play 1. So... Or even just play the Newgate and then hope to see something else to stack with the Sanji. Anything like that. But yeah, I think that hand's a playable hand. And then here, we've got 3. Then we go 5, 7. That's 2 turns if we're going first without anything. We don't want to keep that. You could make the argument because Doflamingo on 3 is going to let you get into exactly what you want on 5. So if we go first, we play nothing. Are we leader? We draw 1. It's going to be an ace. Now we have a 5 play. Stack the dragon. Or actually, I would stack the Newgate in case I see a Sanji. And then... yeah. Like draw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oop. Nope. Don't see it. But we have plenty of plays on the way up. We've got a 3, a 5. You wanted to play this on 7. Then you have 8. Then you have 9. And then you have plays for the turns after. I would mulligan this. No early game. We need some early game. This one... you have 5, you have 9. If you're going second, it's 6 and 8. You're just missing 4. And if you really want to, you could establish this Jozu. You draw twice. Boom. You see the Doflamingo. Hand worked out. So that's kind of an idea on the mulligan. Again, you really can tailor it. Like if you're playing against Doflamingo, you'd want to prioritize seeing a Marco, seeing this Newgate, things like that. And then this one here is Eggman's list. This list, I think depending on like your matchups, and I'll kind of talk a bit about this one. This is Eggman's. Well, I actually used mine. This is the one that this is similar to one that I won the case tournament with. I switched out an Atmos for an ace. That's the only difference. But if you're going second, especially like cards for black, yellow, you want to see Jozu. You want to see Gravity Blade, and you want to see Sanji, and possibly Ivankov. Ivankov can be big value as long as you can counter out, which means you're going to need 2Ks. But we want to see the Jozu to answer Punch Luffy. And we want to see Sanji so we can establish 2 threats in 1 turn. And Ivankov can give us value. Then against things like Bonnie, we can still like want to see Jozu if we're going second because then we can bounce a Cavendish. We also want to make sure we see Newgate because Newgate puts in a lot of work because he rests himself KOs. So that's one of those bodies we want to see going either first or second. One thing to note, if you're going second, Rayleigh's slightly, or if you're going first, no, if you're going second, Rayleigh's slightly better because they can drop a Shanks. You also, like, ideal early game, of course, in Ivankov. We've got these. In my opinion, I think this is one of the better builds. Shout out Egman. Just because it's got a decent amount of just mid game as opposed to like these other lists we looked at and we kind of felt in our hands. We had like 3. We have 1 5 curve play, or well 2. My bad. But like just a lot of early game. It's just really feels a little bit lackluster. But so let's go ahead and see this hand. I'm going to mulligan. I'm going to mulligan just because we don't have any early game. Like, we have Duval, and again, there's that argument you could possibly find what you need, but it's just really not going to get us started. This, again, if you're going first, you can make the argument, you go 8, you go 1, then you draw 1. Now you're on 3. You could play an Ezo, and then look at top 5. I already have an ace, so I'm probably going to take a Jozu. Probably take a Jozu, then go 8 at their face. Leader, draw 1, find an Atmos, and then next turn go 5, 6 with an ace. Then we can establish the Newgate. Then we go Rayleigh. All that good stuff. But yeah, these starting 5, I think there's the argument to keep that. I would keep this going first or second. Because Jozu is really great going second. He's also not bad on 7, but we got a 6-7 curve. We got a 3-4 we could put in, and we've got a turn 2. Or otherwise, if we're going for, we can go Ivankov into Dadan and then find some more cards. We'll draw 1, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If she found nothing, phenomenal. We bottom deck a Sanji. But yeah, a lot of mid-game, some late or mid-game, and then we can just find everything else. Ivankov is going to draw us some cards. But it's enough to get us started, and then we can put on pressure with these against anything. Yeah, those are not going to find great cards. But here we go, another one. Yeah, I think you keep this. If you're going second, 2, 4, 6. You've got your first 3 turns laid out. You got a counter card. This hand is great. I would probably play Dedan first. Find me this 2K. Lose all these great, beautiful characters. And then next turn do a Duval. And be like, oh. Put the Sanji on top. Draw and probably bottom deck everything else and get there. But yeah, I think that's an okay starting hand. Low to the ground starting hand isn't bad, but this is a perfect starting hand. We got 3, we've got 7. We've got a Duval in case we're going second, but we got a Sanji play. This is an absolutely phenomenal ideal hand. Ivankov, huge. Do a couple more. I'm mulliganing this. 2 Gravity Blades. Sanji. We're not getting anywhere in the early game. Just kind of an idea of what you might see. And then here, this one's tough because I do love a good Ivankov. This would depend on the matchup. There might be a world where I would keep this just because I'm going to get a bunch of value off of here and just go a little bit deeper. But I'd be on the edge about this. If I felt like I was playing, if it was like round 8 and I knew I was playing a really good opponent, I would probably mulligan this. Here I would keep. We've got 7, 9, this 7, 2 and a 4. So 3, 5, 7, 9 technically, and any of these. It's a great hand to keep. Yeah, and then so yeah, it just really depends on like the matchups. But against Lucci, you know, we want to see Ace a little bit more. We want to see Jozu or even like the Atmos. Atmos can bounce back a Kuzan if they're still running Kuzan. Then of course we want to see the Sanji. So you could prioritize those against like Doflamingo. You need to prioritize this Newgate, and Atmos is also a pretty good card. Ivankov, another pretty good card because she's gonna swing, get you a card. Get you a little bit of value. As always, if you found this video value, if you could just do me a favor, hit the subscribe button. It helps me out a ton.